Hello and welcome to EngLearn. Today we're looking at a practical example and we will be analyzing what it looks like to take your answer from good to great. So we're going to be focusing on question 1A in paper 2. We are looking at this task right here, but I want to say before we start that all of this can also be applied to section B, questions 2, 3, and 4, except of course that the answer is going to be longer. So my aim with what we are doing with this video today is to help you understand what it takes to get top marks in writing and how you can take your answer from being average and from being quite good and okay to something that is really, really great. So let's first look at the task and let's analyze what we need to do here. So the task says your school principal is concerned about the amount of food being wasted in the school cafeteria and has asked students for ideas. So already here, we know what the topic of the text we're going to write is going to be. So the amount of food being wasted in the school cafeteria. We know that that is our topic. And then it says you decide to write a text for a short persuasive speech to deliver to your fellow students in assembly. Again, we're looking at things and we can understand that we're supposed to write a speech and that we are delivering it to our fellow students. So the information we get from that is that the text type is a speech and that our audience are our fellow students. What you need to do is you need to write the text for your speech using no more than 400 words. In your writing, aim to create a sense of shared responsibility and motivate students to reduce food waste. So again, we have some important information. The word count for this question is always the same, no more than 400 words. And here we have the purpose of the text and the focus of our text, which is to create a sense of shared responsibility and motivate students. So this is our word count, and this is the purpose or the focus of the task. Of course, all of these things are going to shape the way we write. We will be looking at genre conventions of speeches, of persuasive speeches to be more precisely. So that means we're going to be using lots of persuasive techniques and appeals. We are going to be speaking to our fellow students, but at the same time, we're going to bear in mind that the person who set the task is the school principal and that we are talking in assembly. So this is some kind of a secondary audience because it's not just something where we are speaking directly only to teenagers in some kind of ultra informal setting. The fact that this audience are teenagers is going to give us the more informal register, but this secondary audience needs to give us some idea about still being somewhat formal. So we can be completely informal, we can't use slang. And of course, we can't do that because we're in an exam anyway. So what I'm going to do is we are going to look at a good text and then a great text, paragraph by paragraph, and we will see how we can improve a good text to make it really, really great. Let's start. So here is the first paragraph of the good version. Let's look at that. So the student says, "Good morning, everyone. I want to bring to your attention an important issue, the considerable amount of food we waste here in our school cafeteria. To put this into perspective, I'd like to share a recent experience. Last weekend, I volunteered at Oak Ridge Community Kitchen, a place that provides meals to people in need. I witnessed a young girl receive a bowl of soup, and her gratitude was very clear. Her mother mentioned they hadn't had a proper meal in several days. It really highlighted the value of food." Now, you're going to see some really, really good things here, and then we're going to talk about the things that are not so good, actually. So we start with addressing. There is direct address, which is definitely a good thing. Let me use the green for the things that I'm saying that are good. So we have direct address. He is addressing the audience. This is also a genre convention, so that's a great thing to be doing. because we're in a speech. Again, here's the direct address again. Your attention, that is a good thing. We have some somewhat advanced vocabulary. We have a long sentence here. We have the colon. So we have a variation in different types of punctuation, which is also something that examiners are looking at. We have this nice expression here to put this into perspective. That's something that is also advanced in terms of language. And then we have a very good thing here. We have the person beginning with an anecdote, which is always a good idea. If you've been watching my videos, you know that I always say that if you are going to write a speech, start with an anecdote. So again, that's another genre convention, and it's a good thing. It's something that is really relatable, something that is going to draw the audience in. It's some kind of a hook. So that's something that we really like. And he or she then moves on to describe this anecdote in detail, let's say. So there is, and also another thing that I want to mention that is really positive is that the person doesn't make any mistakes. There are no mistakes in punctuation, in grammar, in vocabulary, in spelling. So everything is good and acceptable in terms of how accurate you are. In that sense, you could say that this is a good answer. However, there are many, many things that we can improve in this answer and that could be done better. I'll give you, for example, I'll use the red pen here. I'll show you that there are things that are put here that weren't necessary. So there is a lot of unnecessary words that don't necessarily contribute. If you remember in one of my videos, I said that every sentence that you write needs to bring some kind of value. And you are looking for getting some kind of a point, either grammar-wise or by using some kind of a technique or in terms of structure, in terms of your sentence structure, by obeying genre conventions. So in every sentence has to contribute some kind of value to your grade ultimately. And here we will see that there are a lot of sentences that are redundant and that are not necessary here. So for example, the first thing that the person says, and remember the beginning is the most important. This is the hook. This is where you get the reader to really read. And he starts with, I want to bring your attention to an important issue. Well, of course you do. That's the point of the speech. You don't have to tell us that outright. So there is no need. This is completely redundant. It's not necessary. You can remove it completely. Again, to put this into perspective, I'd like to share a recent experience. Okay, just share the experience. You don't have to say that. You could even remove this part here and just start with the anecdote, because the anecdote is what draws us in. If you have these uh, unnecessary elements here, they're just going to slow your rhythm down. They're going to slow your pace. You're going to lose the attention of the audience. Instead, just get started with the anecdote from the get-go. You can start, it's perfectly fine. Give the address to the audience you're talking to, and then just start with the anecdote, start with last weekend, and you are immediately drawing the audience in. Then we have also another thing that is redundant, which is I volunteered at Oak Ridge Community Kitchen, a place that provides meals. Okay, if we are familiar with the English language, we know what a community kitchen is, so we don't need this explanation. You are wasting your time and you are wasting words by giving unnecessary definitions and unnecessary explanations. The last sentence also is redundant. It's not necessary. It really highlighted the value of food. Now, the problem with this, as I said, it's an okay response. There is nothing wrong with it in terms of grammar or vocabulary or spelling. But what this person is doing, they are doing the opposite of the popular and very good advice that you should show and not tell. So if you know what show and not tell is, if you don't know what show and not tell is, this is the rule that when you are writing, mostly writing a narrative, you are going to be showing the reader some kind of an experience. You're going to be making them feel something through your words. You don't have to tell them how they should feel. So you don't have to tell me that you will bring attention to an important issue. You don't have to tell me that you would like to share a recent experience. Just share it. You don't have to tell me that this highlighted the value of food. Show me through your speech, show me through your expressions that you use, show me how this highlighted the value of food. So let's look at the great example and let's see how that differs and how it improves on this answer. Again, you're going to see they are saying completely the same thing. They're saying the same thing, but they're saying it with different words, using different language and form and structure, and that is going to truly contribute to the quality of the answer. So let me minimize here so you can see it compared. The great answer also starts with a direct address, but it starts with dear friends. Now, what this does, it establishes the relationship between the speaker and the reader. And if you are referring to the people you're talking to as friends, you're immediately establishing that relatability instead of just saying everyone, which is very vague and not really specific at all. And he's not using anything that is extra, not using anything that is unnecessary. He just starts at the heart of the story, and he starts with the anecdote. Last Sunday, I was helping out at Oak Ridge Community Kitchen. A simple sentence, but it gets us in medias res, into the middle of things, and we understand what's going on. Then we have the description of what happened at the kitchen. The air smelled of soup and fresh bread. Nothing fancy, just food people needed. A little girl in a worn hoodie stood at the corner, staring at her bowl like it was the best thing she'd ever seen. Let's look at these two sentences. Why and how is this story more effective than the one we read up here, which is basically the same story, just told in different words? Well, the first thing is we have imagery. Imagery, using your senses, immediately draws us in, and we already can imagine this scene playing out in our head. We have the sense of smell, what the air smelled like, and then we also have a variation in punctuation. There is a dash. A little girl in a worn hoodie, again, we have imagery, we have the sense of sight. She stood at the corner and she stared at her bowl like it was the best thing she'd ever seen. So we have, again, this is the continuation of the imagery, but let's look at the vocabulary a little bit. She was staring at her bowl. This is not just looking at her bowl. She was staring at it. There is this strong verb that we can use. So it increases our vocabulary points. And we have, the simile, like it was the best thing she'd ever seen. If you compare that to what we have up here, we've said the same thing, but this is much, much easier to remember, much easier to envision, much easier to imagine in our heads, and therefore we are drawn into and we want to see what happens next. Then he says, or she, I crouched down and asked, you okay? Her mom's voice cracked. They hadn't had a real meal in days. Now, again, with the great vocabulary, with specific verbs, with verbs that are strong, she didn't just talk to her, she crouched down. We have this conversational tone here, you okay? And we have the quotation marks. Her mom's voice cracked. It's not just she said, you can see here, her gratitude was very clear. This is telling, this is not showing. Her gratitude was clear. And here, you can see that gratitude. She was staring at the bowl like it's the best thing she'd ever seen. You're showing it. You're showing the problem because her mom voice cracked and they hadn't had a real meals in 3 days. So you are showing instead of telling. You are using imagery to show what is happening. And what that showing does, unlike this section up here, the good answer, not the great one, what the great answer does, it creates an appeal to emotions or pathos. So we feel emotionally invested in the story because we feel truly pity for this girl. So this part here, it's okay. And this is a really, really common thing that students do, especially if you're more inclined towards engineering and mathematics and STEM than you are towards imaginative writing and so on. You tend to over-explain things. I see this all the time with students. So this is informative. And informative is okay. There's nothing spectacularly wrong with it. We understand what happened. But this thing here, we could say that it's somehow transformative, or we could say that it's emotional. And emotional always fares better. So you have a real tone that you need for persuasion, and you really need emotions for persuasion. So just in this very introduction, we can see a great difference, and this is how you move your writing from good to great. Let's move on to the next paragraph. Let's see. Again, let's look at the good example first. When I helped clear out the cafeteria after lunch, the contrast was striking. We throw away bins full of perfectly good food, untouched sandwiches, half-eaten apples, sealed milk cartons. This is a significant waste and it has consequences. Again, this is written clearly, accurately. There is nothing spectacularly wrong with it. There are no major problems. We have some good vocabulary like striking, untouched sandwiches, half-eaten apples, that's okay, sealed milk cartons, significant. Those are words that are not basic words. We also have some variation in punctuation, and we have a tricolon or a list of three here, which is a persuasive device. Again, something that is quite good. But in this example as well, we are only seeing telling and not showing. You are not showing us why this is a problem. You are telling me this is a significant waste and it has consequences. And you are telling me the contrast was striking. Can you show me the contrast instead of telling me that the contrast is striking? So those are some negative things. Don't tell me stuff, show me stuff. Let's see how you will show stuff. That same evening, I emptied out our school cafeteria's waste bins for a project. I was knee-deep in mountains of untouched sandwiches, half-eaten apples, sealed milk cartons. Food so perfectly intact it was borderline sacrilege to toss it. It was all destined for the landfill. So again, we are creating contrast because we are saying we are creating contrast. We are not telling you about the contrast, we are showing you the contrast. I'm talking about the same evening. I emptied out the bins, okay. I was not only looking at these bins full of perfectly good food, I was knee deep, look at that vocabulary, knee deep in, here's a metaphor, mountains of untouched sandwiches, half-eaten apples, and sealed milk cartons. Again, you have the list of three, but used much more efficiently because now it's preceded by advanced vocabulary and by a metaphor. And then we continue, we have a dash, and it says, food so perfectly intact, it was borderline sacrilege to toss it. So we have some great expressions here, so perfectly intact, borderline sacrilege, those are all advanced words, advanced lexis. And then it says it was all destined for the landfill. So in terms of sentence structure, here we have a very long sentence that even has a dash, that is explanatory and that is complex. And then it is followed by a short sentence that is used for what? It's used for emotional impact. So a long sentence followed by a short one. There's a lot of structure to be discussed here. It's brilliantly written and it's much more efficient than the first one. You are showing, you are not telling. Let's move on. This isn't just an abstract problem. It's something we're all responsible for. The amount of food we waste each day could provide meals for people in our community who struggle with hunger. It's not just the food itself either. It's the wasted water, the effort put into growing it, and the land it came from. When we carelessly throw away part of our lunch, we're also wasting valuable resources and avoiding our responsibility. Okay, so again, there are some really, really good things here. I will say here's a contrast or a juxtaposition, which is a good thing. It's not just an abstract problem. It's something we're all responsible for. juxtaposition, which is a very good thing. Then we have an informative sentence. This could provide meals for people in our community. And it's not just the food, okay. And then we have, again, a list of 3, which is good, but it's kind of repetitive at this point, but it's okay. The wasted water, the effort, the land. So we also have some kind of a parallel structure. When we carelessly throw away our lunch, we have the words with negative connotations, with wasting resources, we are avoiding our responsibility. So it's an okay answer. Again, it's nothing bad, but it can be improved to get you those extra points. Look at what the person did here. Friends, this isn't someone else's problem. It's ours. And then we start the next paragraph. So what we have here is a single line paragraph, which is a structural device, because this emphasizes the gravity of the problem. This emphasizes the responsibility. Remember, the part of the task was to motivate students and to get them to understand a sense of shared responsibility. So in this single line paragraph, with 2 simple sentences, one of which is very, very short, you are getting to the point of the task. You're going to get points for that, absolutely. And again, you are addressing them as friends. There is the idea of relatability, and you are also using personal pronouns. It's our problem. So there is a sense of shared responsibility just because there's the use of the personal pronoun our. Every day we squander approximately 45 kilograms of food, equivalent to 90 complete meals. 90 meals that could feed 90 families in our community who rely on food banks. 90 meals that represent countless wasted hours of labor, thousands of liters of water, and acres of farmland. Remember when in all of my videos I spoke about being specific? Well, this is what being specific looks like, and this is how it improves your grade. Every day we squandered how much food? 45 kilos. This equals 90 complete meals. Look at the impact that this sentence has in comparison to the sentence, the amount of food we waste each day could provide meals. I have no words. It's so much better. So be specific, be precise, use concrete numbers, use precise data. So this is statistics, which is logos, and it's a good thing to do. And then you continue repeating that there is strategic repetition, 90 meals for 90 families and 90 meals that represents. This is also anaphora when you repeat things at the beginning of the sentence. It is another persuasive technique that is used often in speeches. So you are discussing what those 45 kilograms of food result in. They result in 90 complete meals that could feed 90 families and that represent countless wasted hours, thousands of liters of water, acres of farmland. Again, you have a list of 3 as you had up here, but this list of 3 is more specific, it's more precise, and it gives a better emotional impact. Also, we have the great vocabulary here. We squander, which is a word with negative connotations, and you're going to get points for that as well. When we casually toss that half-eaten lunch, we're not just throwing away food. We're throwing away opportunity. We're throwing away responsibility. We're throwing away our values. Again, there's the anaphora. We're throwing away, we're throwing away, we're throwing away. There is contrast. We're not just throwing away food, but we are throwing away these abstract ideas and these ideals that we hold. In addition to the anaphora, we also have this kind of increase in stakes, increase in impact. We are throwing away what? We're throwing away opportunity. And then let's take it up a notch. We're throwing away responsibility. And let's take it up a notch again. We are throwing the core of who we are, the core of our identities. We are throwing away our values. So you are constantly increasing the stakes. Not to mention that this is also a list of 3. So look at how packed just this little paragraph is with all kinds of things that you could analyze in your reflective commentary and that the examiner is going to look at and comment on and give you points for. Okay, let's move on. But the good news is we can make a change. We can take action to reduce this waste. Here are 3 practical things we can do. Okay, so the great thing when we are looking at this part is that now we have a shift. Structurally, that is a good thing in your text. We have a shift in focus. We used to talk, the first part of the text talked about the problem, and now we are moving on away from the negativity. We are moving away from the problem. We are moving away towards the solution. So this has a great impact on the motivation, and to motivate is one of the purposes. So that's a great thing when it comes to this section. We can make a change, we can take action, and then you're going to enumerate 3 practical things to do. This is quite okay, but it can be better. Let's look at how it can be better. But here's the good news. We can flip the script right now. Problems created by apathy can be undone by action. Real change starts with us. So I'm asking each of you to take 3 quick steps to obliterate food waste at its roots. First of all, we have this great sentence here that has a varied punctuation. We have the colon. Here's the good news. We can flip the script. This is a rather informal expression, and it's also quite, we could say, advanced. So flip the script, it sounds good. It goes right with your audience who are teenagers. You're getting close to them by using this language that they're familiar with. And then you're following this with a more formal, so you are appealing also to the principal and to the fact that you are writing this as an official school speech. Problems created by apathy, we have this advanced word, can be undone, also a very good word to use, by action. This also, there's also like juxtaposition, contrast between apathy and action. Then we have a short sentence, real change starts with us. And so I'm asking each of you to take 3 quick steps. I'm asking each of you. There is that individual responsibility. Take responsibility. Don't ignore this. To take 3 quick steps, not just any steps, 3 quick steps to obliterate food waste at its root. Again, an advanced words that you can use. So even if in this short part that wasn't that bad, we can do a lot to improve it and to get more points. And let's look at what the plan looks like. So the first person split it into 3 paragraphs, and they talked about what you can do. Practical steps are always a good idea. This is great. So first, let's try to only take the food we actually plan to eat. That's a great topic sentence. Everything is explained clearly. Excellent. That extra treat might look tempting, but if it ends up in the trash, it's a wasted opportunity to use that food well. Perfectly fine. There's the word treat. There's the word tempting. Vocabulary that's a bit more advanced. There's the contrast between a treat and a wasted opportunity. The second idea is we can set up share tables in the cafeteria. These would be places where students can leave unopened food they don't want, so others can take it if they need it. It's a simple idea that could make a big difference. Okay, fine. Third, I suggest we start a food waste reduction group. This group could track how much food we're wasting, come up with creative solutions, and help make changes in the cafeteria. It's about moving from just talking to actually doing something. Again, we have a list of 3, and we have a contrast. So there are uses of, and there's also like a nice structure here that is divided into thirds, into 3 steps, following the rule of 3. Quite good, but not impressive. Let's make it impressive. So what the other student does is he or she takes all of these ideas and puts them together into 1 paragraph. They start with saying, first, pledge to take only what you'll eat. That extra cookie. It might seem like a small indulgence now, but if it ends up in the bin, it's a broken promise to yourself and to everyone who's hungry. So we start with a great expression, pledge to take only what you'll eat. Then we have this a variation in sentence structure. So we have this incomplete question that is also making your text sound a bit less formal and making it relatable to your teenage audience. It might seem like a small indulgence, there's a great word here, but if it ends up in the bin, it's a broken promise to yourself and to everyone who's hungry. So there was a short sentence followed by a long one with a dash here. Second, help create share tables where students can leave unopened items for others who might need extra food. Okay, it says the same thing as here, but without any extra unnecessary words. It's zero effort with huge impact. So this is a bit of an informal expression, zero effort, huge impact. So there is a contrast between zero effort and huge impact. And the last one, third, become a waste warrior by joining our new committee. We'll track our progress, brainstorm cool ideas, and actually make a difference. No more talk, just action. So first of all, they took this idea of the food waste reduction group that we had up here, and they turn it into a waste warrior kind of concept, which includes alliteration. It's very catchy, very memorable. And then you have a list of three. We'll track our progress, brainstorm cool ideas, and actually make a difference. So you have a bit of a lower kind of register, brainstorm cool ideas. No more talk, just action. Again, you have contrast and you retain that list of three here, but you've done it more efficiently than up there. And we're finishing with the finale. So the person who did well says, think about the positive impact we could have. Imagine being able to say that our school is working to reduce food waste and help people in our community. The connection between waste and need is often closer than we realize. Let's try to bridge that gap with thoughtful choices and working together. Thank you. So the good thing is that we have some kind of a, here and here, we have some kind of a call to action. We have some kind of a summary in the conclusion, summary. You're summarizing the main ideas. You're getting the people to be motivated, to think about what they can do. And it's quite a good ending. It is efficient in getting the purpose that you are supposed to get. But let's look at this next one and let's see how much more efficient and effective it is. Imagine returning to that community kitchen with me next month and telling that little girl that our school has salvaged hundreds of meals that could reach families like hers. First of all, instead of here saying think, we have the word imagine. I think the imagine is like a magical word because it gets us to visualize what the person is talking about. And it's such a powerful word. And if you can use it and use it in combination with imagery, because it's going to elevate your writing so much. And then after that, imagine what do we have? We have returning to that community kitchen, telling that little girl. So what we are doing here, we are using cyclical structure. Remember the story at the beginning? We are going back to that story. We're making a full circle. It's very satisfying. It's a wonderful way to motivate people. We have salvaged hundreds of meals, so again, the vocabulary is quite advanced. The line between waste and want, again, we have contrast, but we also have alliteration, waste and want, very smart. Let's erase it together, one mindful meal at a time. Again, the alliteration, and let's erase it together, which is a very clear call to action. And because it says together, we also have that idea of a shared responsibility. So now that we've looked at both of these texts and we've analyzed how you can take a simple text that is quite well written, that is completely accurate, and you can elevate it to the next level, I hope that now it's more clear to you what the examiners are actually looking for and how you can improve your answers and hopefully get those top marks. Happy exam season, everyone.